Well, kia ora and welcome into the Harness Half Hour, proudly brought to you by HRNZ Marketing. I'm Jess Smith, and this week on the show we talk to Nigel Armstrong regarding his involvement in the promotion of ownership via Westview Racing, Johnny Morrison on his career and his contribution to Team Teal. Heather Vitale joins us from America to talk about Shartin's big award, and Chelsea Faithful joins us to chat about her recent training success at Forbury Park. Well, anyone that was at Addington Raceway a couple of weeks ago and witnessed the performance by Spellbound would have been taken over, spellbound themselves, I guess you could say, by the amount of noise that was created by the Witches Syndicate, the Witches of Westview, of course. The man behind Westview Racing and the Witches of Westview is Nigel Armstrong. And Nigel, first and foremost, congratulations on the win with this filly, but secondly, congratulations on what you're doing for ownership. What went through you when she was across the line first?
Probably had to be one of the proudest moments of my life, actually. It's hard to explain. Watching the people come down from the stands, listening to the noise, unbelievable. It just blew me away. I was just rapt.
Nigel, as I said, you've done a lot for harness racing ownership. You're involved with the HRNZ ownership subcommittee, and you've been proactive in terms of helping clubs and being an owner liaison. What is it that drives you to help the industry and promote ownership?
Probably just stems back with like my father, great-grandfather. All of my family's been involved with harness racing, and it's just a love for animals and love for the family atmosphere around harness racing. It's just everyone pulls together when things are looking not so good.
The Westview Racing Syndicates, can you tell us a bit about how these started initially? Because of the Witches came later on, but firstly, how did these syndicates come about?
A good friend of me got me involved with, I wasn't an owner of a horse, but a friend of mine bought a horse and said, wanted to know if I was interested, and I said yes, but he wouldn't put me in the horse until it qualified. So yeah, I was sort of dragged into it and just can't get away from it.
Now, in terms of Westview, so that started, and you started getting all types of people involved in ownership. And then the Witches came along, and you wanted to get a group of women involved in harness racing ownership for an affordable cost. Why on earth would you put yourself out there like that, Nigel? Because, it seems like a lot of work.
Well, to be fair, Brenda, my wife, does all the work. I just front the thing. So, it's a big undertaking. But when I first started, I went to Edward Rennell and Mark Bennett here at Harness Racing New Zealand. And they were so supportive and so good, and they went into bat for me. So they had a lot to do with starting me up, to be fair.
In ongoing work, as I say, you're involved with the HRNZ ownership subcommittee. So you've been at owners' nights, you've been on courses and owner liaison, doing interviews, and you'll be the first to say you're not overly comfortable putting yourself out there, but you seem to be doing an amazing job at just putting yourself out there and getting people involved.
Yeah, as soon as you sort of front up with anything, you sort of, you're a target then, and you're moving. But hey, harness racing is just such a good family, and and you look at the young kids, coming up through the grades. If someone doesn't do something, we'll disappear. So that's why I've done it.
You mentioned Brenda, of course. So we can't not mention Brenda and the work she puts in, and of course, helping you with those emails that you're setting out for the owners, because that does go a long way. Yeah,
well, in my speech in the weekend when Spellbound won, I think my aim was to get actually to try and grow it to 1,000 owners or 1,000 people through Westview, which Brenda wasn't that happy about that, because she does all the work and I just do all the fronting for her. But that's my ultimate goal, and yeah, Brenda does an outstanding job of how she helps.
Oh, she sure does. And of course, social media-wise, you've got Emily Morgan helping you out with that now. And do you see, Nigel, with social media the way forward in terms of communicating with such a large group of people?
Absolutely, and thank God I've got Emily there, because I wouldn't have a clue on what I'm doing with, I'm there a Facebook person and post on there, which is madness, and Emily's working on a website at the moment, and our next trick is to start trying to video some stuff and put online.
Well, you're a man to give things a go, and of course when push comes to shove, Nigel, you and Brenda have been very supportive of causes within harness racing, with the likes of Jonty's Journey and also more recently the fundraiser for Pete and Margot.
Yeah, that was an outstanding night. Again, Addington Raceway came to the party there. I think the new CEO, Brian Thompson, he just wanted to know how he could help, and so it really worked for us. It was great.
Now, I know you don't want to give us a total amount at the moment, Nigel, but can you give us a ballpark figure on how much you were able to raise for Pete and Margot?
Well, we're looking in excess of $6,000. So and basically we're going to the witches and getting them all involved. So it's sort of in-house and out-of-house. So it was a great effort, I thought.
Oh, it's an amazing effort, and also nice to see too that you were able to get the Australian Harness Jewels colours that Sheasel Rock wore, being the first Australian horse to win. And remarkably, Chris Ryder, the owner, was here from America, so he wasn't missing that opportunity.
Yeah, I probably could have fitted him up a bit better than what I did, but hey, we got $500 out of them, and they were generously donated by Harness Racing New Zealand. So again, there's a lot of people I've got to thank, and I will thank, but unfortunately I'd be here on all day if I did.
Nigel, while I've got you here in the room chatting about ownership and the likes of the ownership subcommittee and the work that you've been doing with the group, can you put into words in terms of an owner's perspective? I know we've been working with a lot of clubs in terms of increasing on-course patronage for owners and the experience for owners. A lot of clubs are doing their part, but can you just reiterate how important it is for clubs to look after their owners?
Absolutely. I mean, my goal at Addington, I'm involved with a race day steward there, and I'll try and help out in the Winners' Bowl, which my wife mainly does all the work there again. But my theory is if after an owner wins, I'd like to think that when they leave the owner's room that they're happier than when they walked in there and they've just won a race, which is a big ask, but that's the goal. And hey, if I can achieve something like that, we've done our job.
Oh, most certainly. And so if anyone's floating around a race meeting, I know you're involved with Methvin. You've got the owner's liaison jacket on, which is something that we're hoping to roll out to more clubs. If someone sees you at the races and has maybe been thinking about ownership, because it's not just for the Witches or Westview, you're happy to help point people in the right direction?
Absolutely. Harness Racing have got a really good list now of possible things, syndicates that people can go into. Michelle Larson with Own the Moment Syndicate, she's wonderful. She's doing a great job down in Southland. So yeah, if you're interested or you do plan on syndicating a horse, get a hold of me. And hey, I'm not just all about Westview and Witches, I'm about everyone.
Exactly. And I guess the thing that comes through, Nigel, with when you're speaking is you're very passionate about this sport. And what would be one thing that you would hope going forward you could see for harness racing to help improve it for new owners or owners in general?
Probably just the winning experience, and as I say, making sure that once you leave after you've won a race, that you think it's the best thing that's ever happened in your life. And hey, on Friday it was for me. So if everyone can get that sort of experience, everyone will want a horse.
Nigel, I take my hat off to you, my witch's hat off to you, and Brenda for the work you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Jess. I appreciate it.
Well, of course, many female drivers are doing their part for Team Teal this year, but one of the men that have really stepped up to the plate has been John Morrison. Of course, John, you've kindly agreed to give a portion of your stakes over the 6-week period towards Team Teal, and 6 wins already. You must be thrilled.
It's all going really well, and it's a donation to a great cause, and I was definitely happy to put my hand in and do something for it as well, so it's going good at the moment.
And no pressure, but of course Air Park Canterbury have agreed to chuck in $100 for every win as well, so no extra pressure for you.
I had Graham on my cakes the other day, but he's doing a great job as well. Like, he's supporting the industry on a whole as well, and he's doing a lot for the industry as a whole, and it's for a great cause too, so it's good he's jumped aboard.
Well, aside from the Team Teal, good karma and the way things are going there, John, you're having a great season. At this stage, just one win behind Cherie Tomlinson in the Junior Drivers' Champs. Has that been a goal for you this season to get that?
I haven't really set any goals. It's one thing I sort of haven't done through my whole career, really. I sort of just every season I just try and drive more winners than I did the previous season, and this season seems to be going pretty well so far, so... everything's going well at the moment, but I didn't really set out to get it. So, if it happens, it happens, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. So, there's a great bunch of young drivers out there at the moment, and it's going to be very hard.
John, does it take a bit of a toll on you with the travelling? I know you've been actively seeking drives all over the show, but does it take it out of you at all?
It does eventually. The first few months weren't bad, sort of doing a bit of travelling, but definitely over the Christmas period and lots of race meetings on. Like, at one stage, I think we had nearly a race meeting every day and all over the country. So it takes it out of you eventually, but it's just how you manage it, I'd say. So now I've started flying a lot more rather than driving in the car. So that makes things a lot easier.
I bet, and I bet it makes those air points look good too. John, in terms of your career, it feels like you've been around forever, but you're still so young. I guess that would mean, well, points, of course, to your involvement with kids' karts, and you really did start out quite young in the industry.
I'd probably done kids' karts for, it would be 5 or 6 years, I'd say, before I finished, so I was around a while there, and it was sort of bred into me. All my grandparents and everything had trained, and then my mother and father both trained and everything, so I was in it right from day one, really. So I was always at the races from a young age, so hence why I sort of get a few drives just by knowing people, and sort of just helps a bit.
Yeah, I imagine so. And in terms of that always being a career, were the family supportive of you making it a full-time career, harness racing?
Definitely, yeah. Dad was always supportive, and getting me into the game and that. He always wanted to drive himself, but he never really did, so it's good. He sort of gets quite a thrill out of watching me drive. So it's been really well. They've been really supportive, my family, and particularly my father and that. So, as I said, it was bred into me, and so I just carry it on now, I'd say, just to see what we can do.
Carrying the family pride with you. And aside from your family, John, who've been the main mentors for you? Who do you turn to for advice or a helping hand when you're in a bit of a predicament?
There's a big list of people, really, and it's hard to name them all, but one person that really stands out for me that has helped me all the way through was Ricky May, really. Just the things he can teach you, things you never even think of about driving and just horses in general and anything, he's always been supportive of me. He's always told me where I've gone wrong or where I've gone right or something, but he'll always approach you too, even when you think you might have done something right, he'll still tell you, what you can improve on. And he's probably been the main mentor right from day one, even in kids' karts, how to hold the reins and how to sit in the cart and everything, Most of it's come from Ricky. People like Craig Thornley and that helped me a lot when I was at Spraden Lodge, and I owe a lot to a fella trains a few horses, and Mike Heenan, he helped me a lot when I first started. He was probably the biggest trainer I've worked for when I was younger, and he took me a long way too when it comes to horseman skills and things like that. So there's a lot of people out there to thank, but it's a huge list.
Oh, exactly, and I guess, it is hard, as you say, to acknowledge them all on the spot, but in terms of getting that criticism, or not criticism, but that feedback, John, can it be hard to take that on board at times? Do you rethink races? Do you go through them again in your head, or are you able to wipe the slate clean and carry on?
I don't really get too worried about things. The biggest thing is if you do make a mistake, I just come and admit it.
Yeah.
Everyone's wrong, we're never always right. So you just got to cop it on the chin, and getting advice, constructive criticism is the best, really. Because at least you can, I can build on that and carry on. Anyone that gives advice, you always listen. So just take it as that approach, really. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's fantastic. And John, I thank you very much for your time, because I know you're a busy lad, so we'll let you get back to it. But sincerely thank you on behalf of the Team Teal campaign and the work you're doing behind the scenes earning money there. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Jess, and thank you very much to everyone out there with all the support. Cheers.
Well, an intriguing result recently at Forbury Park, where we saw the first 3 home driven and trained by females. And of course, the trainer of the successful Horse and Tartan trilogy was Chelsea Faithful. Chelsea, congratulations. You must have been, you finished third in the race with your other charge, but you must have been thrilled with that result.
Yeah, no, it was awesome to see the old fella win a penalty-free race and just really ride another race in general with all the troubles I've had with him. But it was great to be first and third in the same race.
Can you tell us a bit about the troubles that you've gone through so people know the background?
Well, ever since I've sort of had him, he's been a great learning experience. Probably not for the right reasons, but for problematic reasons. The most recent one why he's sort of been away from racing for so long was he done a suspension about probably just over 2 years ago now. So he was out for quite a while. And I was just taking him around AMP shows and riding him up and actually Maruia Park is station, so I had a couple of rides up there and whatnot. But yeah, so the most recent's been the Century. It's been a long road to get him back to the races, but it's great to finally get him back.
I guess there wouldn't be many horses, Chelsea, that you could say have gone to be a riding horse and then come back and won a race.
No, he's done a great job. He's a lovely, honest old horse, and he always puts in as much as he can.
Yeah.
And he's just got such a great nature and character that's always sort of still my pick.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Obviously a horse that will mean a lot to you, having gone through all of that, and as you say, a real learning curve. So still early in your training career, I guess that gives you a real bit of ambition, or at least encourages you to try a few new things with other horses potentially.
Yeah, definitely. Even though it's been extremely stressful, but he's definitely taught me a lot about different things to try, and like how, especially with his legs. But he just, had so many different things happen along the way that it would definitely get later on with other horses.
Yeah.
It might be pain, but it's probably also might be a blessing.
And Toby O'Gara, of course, the horse that you trained and drove to finish third. What type of horse is he?
He's quite a cool horse. He's got a great personality. He's a hard case. He's got a bit of a mind of his own, but he tries. He's not as good as the old fella. Not saying he's any better. As long as things go his way, he tries hard, and he's thereabouts. So.
Oh, that's great. And of course, you're training in your own right, Chelsea, but are you involved with a stable down in Southland? Do you have full-time employment elsewhere?
Yeah, I'm full-time with Nathan Williamson. Just busy enough at the moment, but it's good.
How do you manage being able to balance that, working your own horses and working for Nathan as well?
Well, if it wasn't for my mum, I wouldn't be able to do it. She's a great help. She sat with me every morning and goes around and she marks the boxes out and drives the old one when I've got a couple to work together. So she's a great help. Coming into winter is a bit of a pain when I've got horses in work, because then I've sort of got to work them late afternoon. But I try and get them worked in the morning before I start at Nathan's. But when they're going good, it's easy. When they're not going so good, it's not quite so easy to get up that early.
I'd imagine so, and I guess the recent success too, Chelsea, you'll be, it encourages you to keep going. And do you have any future goals for your career? I love the training side of it. I think it's quite a big thrill getting, you're putting all your time and effort into these horses and watching them grow and whatnot, and to get them to the races and to go good or win, it's great. So I'd love to get probably some more young ones, and like to see them progress through. That would be nice, but just see. Yeah, and I guess if anyone is looking for someone to pre-train or train horses, you'd be open to people contacting you, Chelsea? Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, I've just I've got my two boys, but I've just finished jogging one up for Brett Gray, so that was quite good. But yeah, definitely.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking some time to chat to us today, and well done. It was a remarkable achievement to have first three home trained and driven by females. So keep up the great work, and I'm sure you get plenty of business coming your way.
Thank you.
Well, it's been a few months since we've seen Heather Vitale here in New Zealand, and we've got her on the line now. And before we touch base on the Dan Patch and Shartin and everything exciting that's been happening in the USA at the moment, Heather, how did you enjoy your time down under, and did you get home okay?
Yes, I got home okay, and I'll tell you, it was a long trip home. Going home after something that spectacular, it always seems like a longer trip going back. But it was worth every second. I cannot tell you. Words just don't describe how much fun I had at the New Zealand Cup. It was spectacular. And thank you. You were so such a big part of all that, taking me to see, Grant Crab and, going to the beach or watching the horses train. It was so great.
Oh, it was our pleasure, Heather. And I guess, we forget just how big a following you have in the United States. And did you get a bit of feedback from people up there about potentially wanting to come to New Zealand now?
Oh, absolutely. So many people knew that it was such a great race, and so different from what we have here in the United States. But I'm not sure that they were aware of what a big production and how much fun it is to be here for the Cup. And they've heard about it, but being able to actually show them is a whole different story, because when you can see it, it's so different than just reading about it. So, yeah, I have a lot of people that are interested in coming.
Oh, wonderful. And of course, social media is so key in promoting these things now. But I did want to talk to you, Heather, about the exciting year that Shartin had. Of course, recently she was named US Pacing Mare of the Year.
That's right. It's so funny. Like, the minute someone says her name, I get a huge smile on my face. If you could see me right now, you said her name, and, my face just lights up. Yeah, we had a spectacular 2018, and she was voted Pacing Mare of the Year. Actually, there was only one person that did not vote for her.
Oh,
I could not believe it. There's always that one. So she got all of the votes except for one. And rightly so, although, of course, it should have been unanimous as far as I'm concerned. But, yeah, last year, the first pacing mare ever to win $1 million. She rewrote the record books. She changed history, that mare did.
Oh, she certainly did. And then, of course, she was in the running for Horse of the Year, which admittedly was a little tougher. Any other year, Heather, she probably would have won that. But I guess the year that Mick Wicked had, I guess people kind of swayed more in his favour. But when you look at Shartin making history, there are a lot of cases to be made for her too.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes what the voters do, they're not looking at that. They're not looking at how tough was Shartin's division. I believe, honestly, it was tougher than the aged pacing horses and geldings. I truly do. Mick Wicked, yeah, he had to go up against a little bit of competition, but Shartin, there were some tough mares in that group this year.
Yeah.
And on top of the fact that, she rewrote the history books, and she raced from January all the way through the TVG series in November. What mare does that? She had 24 starts with 19 wins.
Yeah.
That's unheard of in that top class.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. And I guess most people, they know how magnificent a year she's had. And will she race again this year, Heather? I understand that she's in preparation to race again at the moment. Is that right?
That's true. Actually, she's had 2 qualifiers, both at Dover, which is one of our home tracks. We live in Harrington, Delaware. Dover is about 20 miles away, and that's where they're racing right now. It's a 5/8 mile track. So she's qualified once. She went in 56. Just a slow qualifier, first time, more like a training mile, if you will. And then second time, though, she qualified in 152. And Timmy is trying something a little bit different this year, sort of letting her settle down a little bit. So in both qualifiers, he took her back, got her in a hole, and then would brush to the front, up the backside. And she seems to be a lot more comfortable and a lot more matured this year to, our American style of racing. So she's got those 2 qualifiers under her belt. We're not sure yet what we're going to do. We might qualify her one more time, or hopefully Dover will let us drop her in the box and she can actually be in a race like in the top fillies and mares at Dover. Her stakes begin March 15th with the Blue Chip Matchmaker at Yonkers. She's the defending champion there. And that's a really interesting series because it starts March 15th. It goes 5 legs. So 5 weeks in a row, you go to Yonkers and the top point getters. There's a final on April 20th. And that's the big final, which she won that last year.
Yeah. Amongst many of her big wins, of course, Hambo Day, she won the Lady Liberty, and of course the Breeders' Crown win as well. Heather, I know it's early in the year, but do you think that your mum and dad will probably follow a similar path to last year with the stakes races?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yes. And her main owner, is Rich Palucci. Mm-hmm. And he was the one who actually, if you will, brought her up and then said to my mom, hey, why don't we go partners now? This was the first horse that my mom and Rich Palucci owned together. Mm-hmm. I mean, what a doozy, right? So, and they've had a lot of luck also after that. But yes, I mean, he kind of is the one who says, hey, let's put her in all these different races. And, hey, look, he's been right on the money, so we just say, okay. Yeah. And, yes, she's staked up. She's staked up.
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to be marking it in the calendar to follow where she's going this year. And, Heather, I know that you were at the Dan Patch recently. Of course, that's the equivalent to our national awards each year. And I was blown away by the footage where they not only presented an award to Foiled Again, but they actually had him there in person, or in horse, I should say, to receive that.
You weren't the only one blown away. I mean, my mind was absolutely blown. Everyone, there was a big gasp in the room, and then just, oh my God! People were just could not believe it. It was amazing. Only about 5 people knew. Yeah. They really kept it under wraps. And when he came out, everybody flipped out. It was so wonderful, and he was so well behaved. He got the Proximity Award, which he's only the second horse in history to ever get the Proximity Award. Rambling Willie is the other horse. And basically that award is the highest award you could possibly get without going into the Hall of Fame.
Right.
So, which I believe he actually got voted into the Hall of Fame this year as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was spectacular. What a night. Wow. I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. Wonderful.
Well, it is fair to say that, when it comes to big, the Americans know how to do it. So it was just so good that he was so well behaved and foiled again, of course, the richest standardbred of all time. And Heather, before we go, I know you enjoyed New Zealand so much that you're potentially looking at coming back this year. Is that right?
Yes, I want to go to Kaikoura. I just have seen pictures of it, and I couldn't come last year because me going down there for more than 2 weeks is a bit too much, because I've got a couple kids, and they like when I'm away, but they don't like when I'm away for more than 2 weeks. They actually start to miss me a little bit. So I would like to go down. Maybe it would be the end of October. I couldn't stay for a couple weeks, but yeah, I want to go back to the beach. I want to watch the horses train again. There's a couple stud farms I didn't get to, and I think Kaikoura would be the race that I think would be so fantastic. I've heard so much about it, and it looks like a lot of fun.
All right, well, if you're listening to this and you're going to be at Kaikoura, or if the Kaikoura Trotting Club Committee are listening to this, you might want to put out the red carpet for Heather and get those bookings made. Heather Vitale, thank you so much for your time, and very much looking forward to not only seeing you at Kaikoura, but also following the great mare Shartin this year.
Thank you so much. I want to give one plug out to my stepdad, Jim King Jr., who's the trainer of Shartin. He has done such a fantastic job, and I don't say it enough, so I'm saying it now. Thank you to my stepdad for just being so great with Shartin, and Tim Teal as well. So props to those two.
And wrapping up the show, we'll have a look at what's coming up this week. Starting off with Wednesday night, Waikato Bay of Plenty at Cambridge. Now, this is Ladies' Night, featuring special guest speaker Gemma McCaw. Be a part of this as a fundraiser for Team Teal. Thursday night, we see Forbury Park in action in Dunedin. Friday, we've got a double header with Westport, the first day on the coast circuit at Westport, and of course Alexandra Park with Derby night. Saturday down in Northern Southland, we've got the Northern Southland meeting at Ascot Park, and Sunday at Reefton will be held. Of course, that is the end of Team Teal, so Reefton on Sunday afternoon. And that is it for this week's Harness Half Hour. Thanks to HRNZ Marketing. Don't forget you can donate directly to Team Teal by visiting www.hrnz.co.nz. Check out the newsreel, and there are details there on how you can donate to this wonderful cause. And a reminder, the podcast will take a short break next week, but will return on Tuesday the 19th of March. And also, don't forget you can find the podcast available on the Punters Lounge, which is on tab.co.nz, via Spotify and iTunes. We'll catch you back soon.